stakeholder idea is the simplest idea in the world. It just says businesses have always and will always create or sometimes destroy value for its customers, its suppliers, its employees, its communities, and, very importantly, the people who put up the money. It's owners or financiers, however you want to say that. And that's what the idea is. And it says these groups are interconnected. How you create value for customers will affect how you create value for your employees. And if we understand this and don't just focus on the money, we focus on finding win-win-wins for all the stakeholders, we can build a great business. So, that's a really simple idea. It's hard to do in practice. And I sort of started working with this in the late 1970s. The idea had been around for a while. In fact, if you go back to the founding papers of the Tata Group, back, well over 100 years ago, you'll find the stakeholder idea there.
Give us an example of one business which, according to you, successfully took care of its stakeholders, also adhered to the path of ethics while doing business for profit, and succeeded.
There are a variety of ones in India, which I would urge people to Google stakeholder companies in India, and you'll find a good long list. The one I like is Whole Foods. It's a company in the U.S. that was bought by Amazon. It was started by John Mackey in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And their whole idea is how do our customers, suppliers, employees, communities, the environment, how do we get those things going in the same direction? Their interests are different, but we got to get them, I like to use the word harmonized, because in music, notes are different, but when they're in harmony, they sound good together. And so they've done that without thinking about trade-offs. It's not how do I take from customers and give to owners, or take from owners and give to employees. You have to figure out how these things can get going in the same direction.
One example of a business which, according to you, failed because it did not follow the path of stakeholder respect, stakeholder value, and ethics?
Well, I certainly think there are plenty of those. Certainly you could look at the disaster some years ago in Bhopal and Union Carbide and what they did, because they kind of said, well, we're responsible, we're morally responsible, but we're not really responsible. So they didn't take the ethics part seriously, and they clearly didn't take the community part seriously, because so many people died in that. There are other less extreme examples. I think you could certainly look at horror stories like Enron and say, well, what you were doing was trying to self-aggrandize here. You were worried about your own ego, etc. And you didn't figure out how your actions were going to affect others. And there were serious effects on others. One of Enron's competitors, CEO, said to me once, it was hard to come into work every day and have people tell you how stupid you were for not doing the stuff that Enron was doing. He said, but we just didn't see how doing those things helped our customers. Or another CEO who said, this, subprime mortgage thing, we didn't do that because we didn't see how lending money to people who couldn't afford to pay it back did them or us any good. And so keeping those stakeholders in mind and keeping the values in mind that I'm not trying to screw somebody out of money is really helpful.
Which is one Indian business house which, according to you, has set the example for Indian entrepreneurs, Indian businesses, and businesses worldwide?
Well, again, I think I would just go back to the Tata Group, because I think they're the founding papers. The stakeholder idea is right there, and I know some of the things that they've tried to do, have been aimed at the least well off in society. They've also been successful in lots of other ways. Now, the important thing here is that not everybody gets it right all the time. So we need to think about business in kind of real world terms. Like, there aren't any saints. I don't know any saints. I mean, you might. I don't know any saints, even in the business school world. And I don't know many people that are, sinners, that are completely self-interested all the time.
to what extent businesses should be involved in protecting the democracy, and how would you define that?
Well, I think they play a...
Because businesses donate to businesses. Some of these donations are known, some are not transparent. Where do we draw a line?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all we have to have an idea of business as being an important actor in society. Businesses have to understand not only market pressures, but they have to understand societal pressures too. And they have to figure out, where can I make a difference? In other words, I'm not suggesting that businesses have to deal with every issue, from poverty to global warming to discrimination to voter suppression. But they do have to think about the issues that affect their business model. Almost every business has an interest in democracy. And if for no other reason than thinking about their employees. And if you think about what your employees want, and your employees who want to live in a free society, in a clean environment, then I think you have to get involved.
Hey, thank you for watching this on CNBC TV18. Hope you liked it. For more such interesting news and updates, follow CNBC TV18 on all the social media platforms.